we're not alone in facing a future that has been robbed by the bankers, that has been robbed by the speculators, that has been robbed by big business across Europe. What we're facing is a European-wide phenomenon of mass youth unemployment, of people faced with a future with no jobs or with dead-end internships like we have in the South. Across Europe, you have a youth unemployment rate of 22%, but in Greece and in Spain, it goes over 50%. In Portugal, in the South, in Spain, in Bulgaria, in Slovakia, in Italy, it goes over 30%. And the reason is because young people are the victims of a war that is being waged across Europe. It isn't a war being waged between peoples. It isn't a war that has been waged between the countries of the North and the countries of the South in Europe. It's a war that is being waged by the governments of Europe, by the Commission, by the European Central Bank, by the IMF, a war waged in the interests of the bankers, the bondholders, the big capitalists, against working class people and against young people to make us pay for their economic crisis. And their weapon in that war is the austerity policies that are causing social devastation across Europe, in particular in Southern Europe, that are causing mass unemployment, that are destroying our public services, and that are destroying young people's future. But there's another very important sense in that you're not alone, not just not being alone as victims. It's that in participating in this protest today, you're also not alone in being part of a Europe-wide fight back that is now taking place. The Troika, the European Commission, the establishments across Europe, they now face a simultaneous struggle in a number of key countries across Europe. In the last 2 weeks, over 4 million people have demonstrated against austerity policies across Europe. In Greece, a general strike brought the whole country to a standstill, hundreds of thousands of people protesting. In Portugal, the biggest protest since the Portuguese Revolution, 1 million people protesting and managing to force the government back, and now another general strike has been called. Particular cheer for the Portuguese working class. In Spain, they also mobilized 1 million people, surrounded the parliament, and that government is under real pressure, may fall like the governments in Greece and in Portugal. In France, 1 million people demonstrated last Sunday against austerity and against the austerity treaty. And so you have mass resistance to austerity and a fight back for alternative policies. We have to coordinate that resistance. We can't just fight back in the North and the South, in Britain, in Portugal, in France and Spain. We have to have a Europe-wide fight back that tackles their Europe-wide assault on our rights and on our futures. But also we have to point out that there is an alternative. It's not that there's no wealth left. It's not that there's no possible alternative. There's not no possible way for young people to get a job. That alternative means breaking with the logic of a capitalist system organized for profit. It means fighting for, demanding socialist policies to get people back to work. Because there is a lot of money across Europe. There's a lot of money in this society. Profits all across Europe have gone up over the past 2 years, at the same time that investment has continued to drop. So what are they doing with the money? They're hoarding the wealth. The amount of wealth being hoarded by big business and the individual rich is higher than at any period in the past in the history of capitalism. They're currently hoarding 3 trillion euros. They're sitting on that wealth in Europe while 25 million unemployed workers, 5 million young people sit in enforced idleness. The two resources idle because they don't think it's profitable for them to go and invest. And so what we need is for that wealth to be taken out of the hands of parasites, to be taken into democratic public ownership and invested to create jobs. It's as simple as that. And then we go beyond that. Let's take the banks, the financial institutions, again into public ownership. Let's run them as democratic public utilities to provide credit for small businesses, for working people, to allow people to rebuild their lives and rebuild the economy. And let's take the key sections of the economy out of the control of the tiny elite who get get to decide in our future, who get to decide to invest or not to invest. Let's take them into democratic public ownership. Let's plan our economy. Let's build jobs for young people. Let's rebuild our economy in a planned, sustainable way by breaking with the logic of profit. Thank you very much.